the wheel, take the big wheel and turn it round, and then give it a coat of paint on the back. It gives you the colour for the 1941 version. But if you don't paint it black and you paint it the green, it's the 1942 version. Hang on, Fox, wake up. Hey.
Hello, brother. What?
Were you not listening? Were you not listening?
I was listening to every word you said, Ted. There was something about a Disney princess and McDonald's. I don't know, something. I wasn't listening, was I?
Right. I'll be testing you on that later. I'll tell you
dreaming about
when we finish
pies.
this stream. I'll tell you about them colours again. Good evening, everybody. If Fox stays awake for tonight, it'll be the live stream for 77 days to Christmas. Yay! Look, I've got a mince pie already. Mince pies are in the shop, and I've got a mince pie. I would eat it, but I can't eat when it's
Ted, you're banned.
Oh, get out!
Mods, can you ban Ted, please?
Christmas.
77 days till spending.
Yes. It's only 77 spending days to Christmas.
And then you've got no money for a month.
Yeah. And then the Easter egg. Yeah, Smooth says the Easter eggs will be out next. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to the eModels live stream, emodels.co.uk, with myself, Ted, me, and him down there somewhere.
Hello, everybody.
That's him.
Happy not Christmas yet. Don't panic. Bank account safe. Thank you.
Yeah, but if you want to write your Christmas list, if you've all been good boys and girls, you can write your Christmas list, and we'll discuss what we can go on it tonight. What's going on your Christmas list?
Yes, and for when you're compiling that Christmas list, my address is.
I could do with the new camera. So then my address is, I'll put the details in the chat. My address for a new camera, crowdfund me a new camera, but never mind. Right, yes.
Yeah,
anyway,
I could do with like my garage being knocked down and rebuilt as a model making studio.
Yeah, if there's any builders out there a bit short of work over Christmas.
Short of work, but don't want any money.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I could come round and supply brews from Fox's kettle and watch. Yeah, things like that.
Yeah, and I could drink the brews, and then somebody else can do all the work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Should we have a look, see who's in this evening? I notice everybody's getting in earlier and earlier now, because I opened the chat a little bit early.
Well, these are the guys that are here for next week's show. That's how early they are.
Yeah, I don't think they actually go away. I think they're just camping a little tent outside the shop. But Nat Bliss, good evening. He was the first one in tonight, followed quickly by Gross Models. Who's gone off to do a video upload, so hopefully he's on with that. I'll have a look down, he might come back soon. Philip Rhodes, 77 days, yes, 77 days. Adi Maff, good evening. Beyond Hope, yep. Chat is opening up earlier and earlier. Yeah, we are going to sell tickets for a matinee. We're going to do a matinee in future, but we'll charge for that one.
Yeah. Who's going to be the guy that goes around with the King Cones, Cura, Toffee Poppets, and Sunkissed in the middle?
Yeah, and you got to slurp halfway.
From them little plastic tubs with the sort of thin foil lid on the top, you pop the straw through, and it was really horrible orange.
Yeah, really sweet, horrible orange.
Yeah, horrible. But it was brilliant because you were 7 and it was made of sugar, so.
Yeah, that's why you're on a high for the rest of the film. You were cheering and things as Flash Gordon came across the space surface with these sparks coming out the back of his spaceship.
All the kids on the back row cheering and shouting because they're all hyped out on sugar, and the parents are like, I shouldn't have brought them to see Schindler's List, it's a bad move.
Yeah, Gross said now he wants popcorn. Yeah, popcorn as well. Sweet, sticky popcorn that you always find stuck to the back of your pants when you get home. I think it gets there.
I was about to break out into popcorn then, but I'll probably break some copyright, so I won't.
Yeah, well, shut the...
doing the old noise. Probably a bad idea.
Yeah, I can't do
it. No, it's not.
No. And
pulled.
Yeah, right, let's move on. Gross Falls, evening, Bob and Chris here. Good evening to Bob and Chris. Yeah, they're just chatting amongst themselves. Anybody else? Paul Stewart, good evening. Everybody's in. Usual people are in. Once again, asking for your questions. If you've got any questions, we do have a couple on the emails tonight, ted@emodels.co.uk. Send them in. I will get through them.
I'll put the email address in on my loud keyboard.
Oh, yes, you've got the loud keyboard.
There you go. Don't forget, as always, it's a family-friendly show, so please don't swear and be nice and civil in the chat. And as always, at the moment, we have Chris from Gross Models, and I believe Ant is in as well, or two of your mods. I'm sure TK might be along later. Yep. Unless it's a school night. So look after your mods. If anybody does get a bit leery in the chat, just let one of the mods know, and they'll put them on the naughty step or ban them out into oblivion or something like that. If you see anything that's a bit untoward in the chat, just let one of the mods know. But have a good time tonight. It's all family friendly.
I think we had somebody banned last week. Somebody really naughty last week. Was it banned? Was it last week?
Yeah, we had a couple of porn spam comments last week, but they were swiftly dealt with.
Excellent.
You expect it on live chat, on live streams. They just come in and say,
them guys are on the ball.
Yeah, it's the norm. It's YouTube. What are you going to do?
Yeah, right. What have you been up to this week then, Mr. Fox?
Well, see what it is. You see, I've been working on the Eagle this week. I'll just move all the stuff I had to move around for that little skit at the front. This week, last week, put a couple of episodes up, and I'm currently working on part 8. And so far, everything has been primed, base coated, and painted. So everything now has its relevant coat of white paint. I have all the bits put together. The pod in the middle is loosely assembled. So it's looking like a pod now. Where we left off, I'd just done all the seams with sprue glue, and they've all been sanded back, and they came out beautifully. You won't see it on camera, but there was a massive seam and panel gap right there, big step, and it sanded out perfectly. That's why I like sprue glue. It's brilliant. So everything's been primed. Interestingly, because I primed it all in black, I used UMP's black primer, which I adore. Because I primed it all in black, if I painted it in white, it would come out with the blue tint. So what I did first was I painted it all in Tamiya Deck Tan XF55 before then going ahead and painting over it with XF2 flat white. Little trick I learned from Duncan over at Warhammer TV. And that just meant that when the white did go on, it had this nice kind of warm tone to it. It didn't come out kind of blue shifted. But what I've been doing today is starting the decals on there are many hundreds. And I have to say, you won't see it on camera, really, but there's a couple of coloured panels on here. And they're all decals. Now, I've never knowingly used Cartograf decals before. And I've always known that Cartograf are the best. And I probably have used them, but just not known they're Cartograf. In this kit, you get 2 sets of decals. I'll show you. You get these, which come with the kit, the normal version of the kit. These are just all the decals for the anti-glare panels and all the bits and bobs and markings. But because it's a special edition, you also get all of those as well. Billions of them. And these are the Cartograf ones. These are specifically Cartograf decals. And I've got to tell you, and apart from the fact they come with a bit of paper over the top to stop you putting your big greasy hands on them, I have to tell you, they're beautiful. I've never come across such good decals before. They're incredible. They are thinner than, like when I put a little decal of a coloured square on there, I'm pretty certain the decal is thinner than it would be, than the surface would be if I'd painted that shape. It's thinner than the layer of paint I would put on if I painted it instead. Yeah, so I've been doing that. These 7 decals took me about 45 minutes because they're so thin that they're very easily wrinkled up and fold up on themselves. So what I've not been doing, I've not been able to go in with microset. Like normally I'll use microset instead of water on the back of the decal, peel it off and it goes onto the model. I've not been able to do that because they really wrinkle up and it becomes really hard to move around. So what I've had to do is good old-fashioned small bowl of water, the old standard way. And it's taken forever because apart from the fact the decals are so big, I've got my glass tray. So I get the glass tray, cut my decal out, put the glass tray to one side, come over here, get it wet, put it on, tamp it down. Oh, it's taken forever, but it's so much fun because they are so thin. The film is literally, if that was the decal, the film is basically the print. There's no clear film around the edge. They are incredible. So if you've got a kit and looking at a kit and a kit says it has Cartograf decals, for God's sake, buy it. I've never experienced such fantastic decals before. You have to go slow and careful. They don't rip very easily, but they do crumple up very easily because they're so thin. So you have to go slowly and carefully, but man, I'm enjoying it. I thought I'd have all the decals done in about a day and a half, 2 days. I think it's going to take me most of this week to get the decals done, so might be a little delay while I'm filming episode 8.
Yeah, I've used Cartograf myself. I can't remember which kit it was that they were on, but you also find that no matter, the really tiny decals. But if you get a magnifying glass and look at them, you can actually read the print. If it's a sign, a printed sign, you can actually read the sign. They're actually amazing, and they really lie on well.
Well, Michael Chapman in the chat says, I can't believe Fox hasn't used Cartograf decals before. I probably have without knowing it, because I know some manufacturers like Revell and stuff do sometimes use Cartograf decals, but not all the time, and they're not always marked as Cartograf. Bearing in mind, for the last few years, a lot of the stuff I've done has been Gunpla or sci-fi stuff that doesn't naturally come with necessarily Cartograf decals. So I probably have, but even if I have in the past and not known it, I've never come across decals this thin. They're thinner than a layer of paint would be. They're incredible. And because you've got a little blue square, because it's so thin, it's semi-transparent. So it actually makes it look even fainter. So it blends in. It's like, if I looked at that now, I wouldn't know if that was painted or a decal. So I won't have to use any microsol at all, because they're just so flat. I probably have done them before.
Somebody said in the chat there that Revell used Cartograf. That's probably where I've used them. I think it was on the Typhoon kit.
But that's the thing, though, because Revell decals, I often whinge about Revell, but they're not that bad, really. But I do like their decals, and I'm kind of aware they're off from Revell, they're off from Cartograf, but they're like 3 times as thick as the ones for this Eagle. These are incredible. So that's why I'm surprised I've never come across this kind of decal before. It's like, if this is the same company, this is far beyond any decals I've ever done, even if they have been Cartograf. So absolutely, if you're going to get this Eagle kit, get the special edition for the 300 extra decals that are just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think they are available as well as an add-on. I think you can go to Cartograf and buy extra decals for your kit if you wanted to do the aftermarket stuff as well.
They might well be. I mean, because if you can get them, the one thing I discovered to my joy, the other thing that slows this process down is the way MPC round 2 work is they don't give you a list of all the decal placements in the instructions. They put them on the side of the box. So I've had to cut the box up. So I've got these pictures, which is a bit of a pain, but then I've got, these are all for the ones that come with the standard kit, and there's a separate fold out for the ones that come as the special edition with all the extra markings. And most of them are pointed out, but there's a lot of one thing I discovered to my joy was I was going to be masking off the reconnaissance pod and putting lots of shading and panels on there, like all the different grey panels and stuff. They actually give you a whole load of decal shapes to do just that, so you can build up like a paneling effect without having to do that. So that's what I'm going to do. But they're not indicated. They just say, here's a load of stuff, go off and put them wherever you want. So I'm looking forward to that. But I think it's going to take me about a week to get this decaled up. TK would love it. It's got 3 million decals, basically.
Yeah, just think TK is in, by the way. He'd been in 10 minutes before we'd actually noticed him. But on about cutting your box up.
Will's in as well. Hey, Will.
Yeah.
So you've got Chris, Will, TK, and Antin modding you tonight.
Yes. Everybody's in. Is there something happening that we don't know about, perhaps?
Don't know.
Don't know. Yeah, I mean, are you one of these guys that keeps your box, by the way? I know you cut your box up. Are you one of the guys that cuts the front out of your box and keeps the box out, or do you just bin it when you're done?
The one thing that frustrates me is I've had to cut the box up so I know where to put the decals. The real pain is I like to keep the box with all the stuff in it to one side, so that while I'm working on some bits, I've got other bits in the box and I can close the box and keep dust off it. I can't do that now, which is a bit of a pain, but it's fine. It's fine. But no, I don't know. Some Gunpla kits, the artwork is so great on the front that I probably would do that and get them framed. And there is actually, with this special edition kit, there is a poster. You probably can't see it. It's this thing here. I don't know if it'll be on screen. It's a poster that comes with the kit. Don't tell Pete, mate, but I've kind of stuck it on my wall. Even though they're getting this Eagle back when it's finished, I may have accidentally kept the poster. Yeah,
it doesn't say anything about paperwork and instructions.
No, it doesn't mention giving the box and stuff back.
No, it doesn't mention the box and the paperwork or anything.
Yeah, don't tell Pete. As long as we're not on the internet or anything, he won't know.
He wouldn't have enough wall to stick it on anyway. It's just covered in shelves, so there'd be no way to stick it. Right, I did see a question, but I think it's been answered by you guys already. Do you have to spray a model with lacquer before decals go in any model, says Paul Davey. I think he's on about just giving it a gloss coat before you put the decals on. Certainly, I would. Certainly, if you just need to put them in a small place, you could just paint some lacquer, a gloss coat. If you're doing the paintwork in a gloss, you wouldn't really need to do it, but yeah, do it anyway. Yeah, but the decals do go on over a gloss coat. It makes them lay down better.
The one thing I will say is, and this is where it can get a bit confusing, there's a crossover between the automotive paint world, like that you get on your car, and the model making paint world. If you're painting a real life car, you might say you're going to put a lacquer coat on it. That means that the lacquer that goes on the outside to keep protect the paint and keep it shiny. In the model making world, if you say I'm going to put a lacquer on a model, it means you're going to use a lacquer cellulose or solvent based paint or clear coat. So what Ted's saying is a gloss coat is, you know, your gloss varnish or your gloss coat. There are three types: there's enamel, lacquer, and acrylic. If you've painted your model with acrylic paints, don't put an enamel or a lacquer gloss coat on it, because there's the potential it may eat into your paint. Lacquer is the hottest of all the solvents, so lacquer paints and lacquer glosses and things like that. If you've painted it with acrylic, top coat it with an acrylic gloss. If you painted it with enamels, use an enamel gloss. And if you use lacquer paints, use a lacquer gloss. You can put some lacquers on top of acrylics and enamels, it'd probably be fine. But there is the potential, if any of the paints haven't fully cured and gassed off, it may eat into it and you'll get nasty reactions down the line. So only ever use a lacquer gloss coat if you've actually painted with lacquer. Say you're painted with Alclads or something like that. But normally stick to an acrylic gloss coat. But you want a gloss coat because it gives you a smooth surface to put your decals on. And also, if you're doing any pin washes or anything like that, it helps the paint flow down the panel lines. Like Ted says, if you're doing in gloss paint, you don't really need to do that because it's already glossy.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm sorry there, Paul. I did read the question wrong. I sort of got it in my mind applying a gloss rather than a lacquer. You'd actually specified lacquer. So yeah, I've got Fox picked that up.
I mean, some people do actually use automotive lacquers to gloss their models. People that do like some people that do like shiny cars and stuff, they'll actually use things like U-Pol, which is a proper automotive what's it called, two pack gloss lacquer system. And again, you're probably fine on acrylics and stuff, but I wouldn't personally take the risk because I've seen lacquers just destroy acrylics and enamels. So the other advantage of lacquer gloss coats, again, if you're making, say, shiny cars or planes or something, lacquer gloss coats are the ones that you can actually polish and buff to get a nice smooth shine very gently. Acrylic gloss coats you can, but it's very easy to mess it up. So if you're doing a shiny car, if you can get a lacquer gloss coat, if you've painted it in lacquer paints, that's actually quite good because then you can polish it afterwards.
Great. Yeah, I see a question there from Ron Mack about he's building the Panzer Aus that I built. He's trying to put the upper hull on the body, and it's a bit of a squeeze. How did I get ours on, and was it tight?
Is this the Mahusive one that's the size of a house?
That's the one that's the one that I drove down to eModels because it was so big. Yeah, I had to put it on a trailer to take it down.
It took up half the car park.
Yeah, how can I best explain this? I'm trying to find the part in here, and if you've got the instruction sheet with you, instructions 24. I don't know if you could see this. The ammunition boxes here, these here, need to be sat inboard of the hull, so that the top of the hull slides over them. Otherwise, it is tight. It nearly caught me out. Fortunately, I didn't fully glue the ammunition boxes onto they actually sit on the track guard, on the top of the track guard, but they'll become inside the hull when the top goes on. If you're finding it tight, those ammunition boxes are probably too far outboard. You just need to fetch them in a little bit. If you stuck them on, you'll have to try and get them off. But I reckon that is the part that is causing you problems. Yeah. Page 26. these two here as well on the other side. If they're too far outboard, you'll have a struggle getting them on. Hopefully that's the problem. Right.
A couple of people in the chat have mentioned, yes, the automotive lacquers are called 2-pack. I kind of vaguely remembered because we used to do a lot of bodywork stuff, and when we rat rodded my Fiesta, we made the wonderful mistake of not remembering how actual matte automotive lacquers work. They're basically the normal 2-pack gloss lacquer with a matting agent, and we didn't stir it properly, so half my car is matte and half my car is slightly shiny. So yes, 2-pack is the automotive one.
Yep.
By the way, folks, if you're going to put a question in the chat, can you type your question in all caps, because the chat does go really fast and we often miss quite a lot that goes on in there, which is why we value the mods so much, because they see all the stuff we don't. If you've got a question, stick it in all caps, because then we're more likely to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, we do apologise if you need your question answering and we've missed it because the chat has shot up. Just type it again.
There is a quick question from Stefan Last. He says, question, if you have decals as thin as the ones for the Eagle Transporter but an aircraft with panel lines and such, can you use microsol to get them down properly, or would that ruin them? You absolutely can, and I've been using microsol on set on these. But all I've had to do differently is instead of water, I'll use microset to get the decal off the backing paper. I've just put them on with water as normal, got them in place, dried them off with a cotton bud to pat them down, and then I'll just give it a coat of microset, give it 10 minutes, and when that's gone, I'll then give it maybe 1 or 2 coats of microsol. If it's in a panel line, these are so snug and fine that I don't need to do it where they're on a flat surface. But yes, even really super thin ones, these two will help them tamp down into your panel lines perfectly.
Yeah,
they are really thin, but they're not fragile. Because they're so thin, it's hard to move them around on the model. And normally you'll see me use my tweezers before, but I've stopped doing that now. I've used my brush instead, but these are so thin you have to use your tweezers to push them about, and they're not ripping, so they're quite tough, and they'll quite happily deal with microset and microsol. You'd be absolutely fine.
Yep. Must have a real must-have for the toolbox, microset and microsol. Yeah, use it. I'd never used it before. I think I had some Humbrol stuff, decal fix. Doesn't work as good as microsol, but yeah, what's used.
I've used that before. It's all right. It's just not quite as good, because there's 2 different products. This is the one you put on the decal when it first goes on to soften it down and make it stick down, and this is the one that just eats away at the clear film to make it less visible, and also helps it bed down and have that painted look. So there's a couple of questions. Ant from Bashing Kits, one of our mods, says, bold text like this, right, Ted, in capital letters. For those who don't know, Ted always used to say put your question in bold, but of course you can't do bold in the chat.
Bold. So. Yeah, I've lost the sorry, I've got lost in the chat.
What questions do we have? I did see a question about painting something, but I've lost it.
Lynn says, I've got the telephone in the office. Yeah, that's the hotline to eModels. If it rings, I never know. I never know what's happening on the other end.
Farnacle says, I'm trying to find a foliage green for my Aussie Bowfighter. Any ideas?
Any ideas to you guys out there? Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, most paint companies now have such a wide range of colours that there's either going to be something you can use straight from the pot or bottle or whatever, or you can mix and match anyway. So it depends if you're using Tamiya or, Vallejo or Ammo. There's so many different colours, but there are also, have a look on eModels, because there are also some specific paint sets for various planes. We'll be showing some later on, but there are actually various paint sets. Like there's the Ammo paint sets, there's AK do some, and Hataka, I think. I always pronounce that wrong. I think it's Hataka. Do like RAF paint sets, Luftwaffe paint sets, and things like that. So have a look on the website for paint sets. Yeah.
Seems like the firms these days are actually being more specific in producing paint sets for actual vehicles or aircraft and things like that, and so you can buy the whole thing in one go. I've got a couple here for German World War camo. That one. By AK, and I've even got late war colours, that one, so you don't have to worry about sort of buying individual pots, and it's sometimes a little bit cheaper to works out like this. Just to buy yourself.
Destruction.
Yeah, destruction breaks.
Yeah.
Break it. Yeah.
Roberto Austria says, Tamiya lacquer is really lacquer. Not sure what you're referring to as Tamiya lacquer, but they do various different things, some of which have lacquers on them. They do some products that are labeled as lacquers, and they are lacquers. That's why you get Tamiya lacquer thinner. But the normal, what everybody calls acrylics, Tamiya acrylics, the normal paints, these are kind of more like lacquers than they are acrylics. They're actually solvent-based or alcohol-based, not water-based. So Ammo, Vallejo, Citadel, Brain's Gone, the other ones, Vallejo, they're water-based acrylics. They're proper acrylics. These are more like lacquers because they're solvent-based. They're not quite lacquers, but they're closer. They're like an in-between ground. But they do some lacquer products. If it's labelled as lacquer, it is actually a lacquer. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Hobby do some really good hard lacquers. I've never used lacquers before till the U-boat, actually. And tried Mr. Hobby lacquers, and they're fantastic. Hard,
I always steered away from lacquers because the problem in this particular room is if I'm spraying lacquers, the whole room is going to stink of lacquers forever. Even the spray booth and a mask is the smell and the fumes. But I used some of the Mr. Metal Colour buffables, and they were so good. They were so good. I might at some point maybe get some lacquer paints like the Mr. Hobbies, because the thing about lacquer paints is they're kind of the toughest of all the paints, apart from your alclad metallics, which fall off if you look at them. But they're the toughest of all finishes, so you can, they're going to be the most durable, but also they'll give you the smoothest finish, and they can actually brush quite nicely and be really smooth as well. They just stink, and they're full of toxic fumes. So,
get yourself a half mask if you're using lacquers, because you won't see next week's show if you don't.
Yes, I'll be still sitting here going, whoa,
yeah, we're on another planet.
Yeah. Shaman Adrian says, I thought it was rude to write in a use caps lock. It is, apart from when you're in the chat here, because there's no other way. We allow
rudeness. The Spat says, Ted, what was the bronze I used for the shells in the Trumpeter 1/16 kit? Brilliant, I'll show you that. I think I've got it in here. True Metal, AK True Metal. Fantastic stuff. Goes on over a black primer. You put the brass on, rub it all around, leave it to dry for a few minutes, and then buff it off. Buff it off. It's brilliant. I don't know if I've got some left. I'll use some on. Yeah. One thing you do find with it though, lots of rattling while I open the boxes. One thing you do find with it, it is quite fragile. It doesn't stay on too well. But it will take a varnish. There's one. See how it's that one? It's a bit out of focus. That one's all scratched and so it does scratch off, but it will take a varnish. I'd left it for a while and then tried it with a varnish. It's brilliant. There's a couple of ranges. In fact, there's a whole range: brass, steel, bronze. In fact, I used it as well. I used the steel and the bronze in the U-boat for the torpedoes. I haven't got any of them in here. But it's brilliant stuff. Yeah, there are lots of other sort of metal type effects and things, but these were brilliant. It was good, especially if you're going to light the ammunition inside the tank, and it's not going to be handled. It's not going to be moved around, so it's durable. You can leave it in there. Yeah, well, that's what I used. For me, models.
Yeah. Shadowland Scale Models says, when we were talking about decals folding up, he says, if you do have one fold up on you, drop them back in a tub of water and they will, with a bit of teasing, unfold. That's what I normally do, but these are so thin. They just try and get them out of water again, because I put one into the water to make it spread out, because it was just the corner that folded up. It was really frustrating. I put it back in the water, and every time I tried to pick it up, it was like, it just... Yeah. So in the end I got it on, and all I had to do was basically get my tweezers underneath the folded corner and just tease it very carefully until I managed to get it off the edge of a panel line, and then when I pulled it back, the folded edge kind of stuck and went like that, and it worked in the end.
Yeah, it's happened to me a few times. Sometimes it's so frustrating, and you have to decide whether you're going to continue battling with it, or you're just going to scrap it and hope nobody ever notices.
I mean, these are so thin that as soon as you try and pick them out of the water, they stick to themselves, and it's incredible. Yes.
Yeah, so it really is annoying when your decals fold up. That's why it's good if you can use, if you're not using the Cartograf, and you can use the other technique of using a microset microsol on the back of the release to release them for the paper.
I normally prefer that because it's 100 times faster than using a small bowl of water.
Yeah.
But on these, they're so thin that again, if you use micro set instead of water, like I says you get it on the back of the decal and let it soak through. It's actually quite grippy. So when you put it on the model, it will grip, and you have to then put some more on and cajole it, whereas water makes it slide around. These are so thin that as soon as you try and get it off the backing paper, it just kind of clings and moves and buckles and folds over. That's why I've had to resort to the old school way of doing water.
Yeah, the only problem with when you put it in water and you put it in the water, you think, right, I'll leave that to soak a minute, you do something else, and then you look back and it's floated off the water.
Yeah.
It's floated off the backing paper.
Ron Mack says, question, who won the first prize on the gallery on eModels?
Yeah, right. Yep. Well, yep, go on, you explain.
Nobody yet. It's the 1st of November is the first one. 1st of November is when we'll draw the first winner. We're giving you a bit extra this month so it can all get sorted out and started up.
Because it didn't start till the sort of middle of September, and word needs to get around. So yeah, you've got until the 1st of November.
Smoo put the Sparks True Metallic Buffable in the tube, and I misread that as buffalo in the tube. I'm thinking, what, a tube of buffalo? That sounds kind of
a buffalo
large. Lynn Dipple says, question, I've lost my tweezers. What will be a good brand? I'm looking at the Trumpeter 4-pack. Any tweezers will be fine.
Yeah.
It's one of those tools that it doesn't really matter. Just make sure you've got some. I find it invaluable to have normal tweezers like those and a pair of bendy tweezers like those for decals, because you can pick them up and you can pivot them around. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I've got a couple of sets actually.
What's the one I've got? I've got the Master Tools set from eModels.co.uk, your one-stop shop for all your model making needs.
Yeah, I've got a couple. I've got the bendy set, like you've got the bendy set.
I just find them really good for decals, for moving them around. Because what I tend to do, people scream at me when I do this.
Yeah, the ones that spring themselves and hold themselves closed.
I got some of those and then realised they're the worst thing ever because they make things ping off. People scream at me when I do decals because I move the decal with my tweezers. But what I do is specifically with these bendy ones, I use that surface. It's rounded. So I use that to nudge decals about like that rather than the pointy end, which is a dumb idea. And it's a bit more efficient than using a cocktail stick or something. So that's why I love these. Plus you can get into little corners and things.
Yeah, these type, I tend to use more for holding parts while I spray paint, hence the covered in paint.
Yeah, reverse grip tweezers. Just don't try and grip tiny parts because they will ping off.
No, they will ping off.
But it doesn't really matter as long as you've got a few shapes in there, a pack of a few different shapes, straight.
Yeah, that's it. I was just going to say I've got a broad set and a really thin set that I often quite stab myself in the finger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Having a broad set is a good idea because the one thing about these thin pointy ones is it's actually quite hard to grip things in them because they're such fine tips. They tend to go like that. So if you're gripping parts, they're not that great. For gripping decals and things like that, they're all right. But yeah, get a flat set as well. Yeah,
and Lynn, I do find that a pair of eyebrow tweezers are pretty good as well because they're actually chisel pointed. And they really, really get sort of fine in them. It's just the length of them sometimes a little bit short to get in places. But yeah, a pair of eyebrow tweezers as well. Right.
Smooth says to me, rattle tins are lacquers. Yes, they are. The rattle cans are lacquer paints. The primer and the paint colours. They've got the TS and AS range, which are. I can't remember the specifics. AS is like aircraft colours and TS is something else, but they're basically very similar to the pot paints, but they are lacquers.
Right. I've lost. Yeah, buff it off. This is,
I've got one for you, Ted, if you want, because it involves airplanings. Lord Barclay III to me says, question I have brought. No, that's not the one I was going to ask. Hang on, where's it gone? I'll ask that one first then. I brought the BAE Warrior, never done a tank. Is it worth buying the photo etch set for it?
I would think I'm probably thinking it's the BAE Airfix set. I wouldn't bother with the Airfix set first. I'd save your money till you get the next kit, another kit, and then sort of spend your money on the extras for that. The Airfix one is quite a nice kit. It's only quite small though. I wouldn't really bother buying the photo etch set for it. As I said, you use it on the next kit. get some practice in building the kit itself, and then buy something else. I've not actually seen it. I've not used it myself on that kit, but I do know the one you're on about.
Paul Davies says, is Johnson's clear any good to seal a model before decals? Kind of an old question on there. I've just caught it. I've just found it. Yes, absolutely. It's been a standby for model makers for like 30 odd years. There's various different names. It's called Clear. It's called Future. It's called Pledge Floor Care Finish 2 times more shine. It's also used to be known as Pledge Multi-Surface Wax in the UK. This is the American version because you can't get this in the UK, but this is the one I use. It smells like strawberry daiquiri. It's really nice. The English version, or the UK version, for a long time was that Pledge Multi-Surface Wax. I think it might still be called that, but they're all the same thing. It's Clear / Future / Pledge. There are a million different Pledge products though that sound similar, so as long as it has Clear on it, you should be all right. But it's been used by model makers as a gloss coat for decades, and it's used for dipping clear parts in to get that proper glass look. There are lots of model making glosses out there, but you get 720ml for it for 5 or 6 quid. So
everybody's using it. You can't be all that bad. I use Alclad's the Aqua Gloss for mine. Just because it's preferred. I do have some of it. I do have some of the Pledge stuff. Here, there. See, got that one. That's fine. See, I've got some as well. So it's down to preference. What you use.
Kenneth M says, question. Hi, Kenneth. Kenneth M says, question. Can you prime photo etch with acrylic paint, or they rust?
What you can prime photo etch with is Mr. Metal Primer. I use that. It's sort of it smells like nail varnish, and I probably think it's probably a derivative of that. So yeah, put some of that on first, and then prime over that. No, it won't rust because it's brass, so you shouldn't have a problem with it. To
me, rattle can primers are also for plastic and metal. The difference with metal is you want a primer that will slightly etch itself into the surface to have a good grip. So yeah, that Mr. Metal Primer, or to me a rattle can primer, or there are specific metal primers out there, are your best bet. I mean, you can use normal model making primers like the UMP stuff and things, but it's best to go for a primer that actually says it can be used on metal just because it will grip better. I've always used, to me, a rattle can primer if I'm using a rattle can, so that's really good.
But right, going back through the questions, going back through the chat, Shaman was asking, what do we use for nose weights in an aircraft? I don't build aircraft myself, but I do know that most of the lads use fishing weights because they come in various sizes. They're very small and tiny as well, and you get into sort of small spaces. I just glue them in with sort of hot glue gun, something like that.
They're lead, aren't they? So you can shape them as well.
Yeah, I don't think they're quite lead now. I think they've changed it to sort of stop polluting ponds and things like that. So, but the derivative of it, but they are really tiny. You just weigh out what you need. Make sure your weight corresponds with what it says in the instructions.
Or a big mess of blue tack. When I was a kid, I used to put big dots of blue tack in the nose.
Really, it's anything you've got to hand that's suitable and can go in. Lots of people.
Big bit of modelling put, anything really. Rusting Custom says, you missed my question further up. We're never going to find it. There's like 35 pages of chat. Can you just post it again? We will miss a lot of stuff in the chat, so we do apologize. If your question hasn't been answered, you can always post it again, but we can't go and find it because it'll take us 20 minutes to find it in all the comments. So post it again for us there, Rustin.
Yeah. What is a good beginner's guide to weathering?
What?
What is a Colin Hudson says, question, what is a good beginner's guide to weathering? Lots. YouTube, asking questions, joining forums like this, get in and ask questions, and search around YouTube. Lots of guys doing it. Go and have a look at the MIG Ammo YouTube page. He's got lots of ideas on there.
Ammo's big thing is weathering.
Yeah, that's
have a look on the eModels as well for them, because there's a lot of weathering magazines and things on there as well. There's AK do one and MIG do one. AK's is, I think, is it damaged models or damaged or something like that? I've forgotten what they're called now.
Yeah,
I think most is the weathering.
yeah, there's a wealth of
Yeah.
techniques and things out there. It's just a matter of finding something that you like the look of. You can don't start too adventurous. Just try some little streaks and rust and slapping it on.
Slap it on.
Slap it on. Get some mud on there, and just try it. Have a go, and then just sort of refine your technique, and soon you'll be doing it like a pro.
One for you, Tedward, because I think you've used this before. I kind of know, but I don't think I do know. Kenneth M again says, question, what is burnishing fluid for?
Burnishing fluid?
Is that for making the metal parts look?
Yeah, it's for sort of weathering tracks and things like that, metal tracks especially. It'll take them from a shiny alloy type colour down to a burnished metal, really. That's what it's for.
It kind of, because my thinking was it takes like a shiny metal part, either brass or whatever it is, and it just tarnishes it and makes it look dull and weathered and worn, and just takes that edge off it.
A lot
stains it slightly.
I think it came from the model railroad guys that used it for weathering the tracks, where they sort of made them all rusty and looking.
Yeah, Sergeant Barry says, Kenneth, it burnishes metal sort of like the dark metal on guns.
Right.
Beyond Hope says, question, can the Mr. Metal primer be airbrushed? It may say on the bottle, but it's all in Japanese. I get the feeling it's a bit thick, isn't
it? I've never used that one. No, I would think if you thin it down, but then again,
you don't really want to thin a primer, do you?
You want to thin a primer. Yeah.
I think it's really designed for small photo etch parts. I'm guessing has it got like an applicator brush on the lid? Because it looks like the same as all the Mr. Metal sort of glue pots.
Oh, so yeah. For the size of the photo etch or anything like that you're going to do, I wouldn't bother.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what effect metal. I don't know what effect metal primers specifically would have on plastics, because they're specifically designed for metal. So
I don't think that's an effect.
Right, I think that's more just that you get a little applicator in the lid and you just put it where you need it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't affect the plastic that I've used it on, so it should be all right. But I wouldn't, for the amount that you're going to use, I've had this for ages. I've done loads of photo etch with it. I've still got a lot left.
Vincent says, for white metal tracks, that's the burnishing fluid. It allows you to skip painting the metal bits because it gives a natural steel look to it.
Right.
Shaman Adrian says, what is your thoughts on Revell paints compared to Tamiya? Revell are water-based, Tamiya are alcohol-based. I've never used the Revell paints, so I can't say.
No, I haven't used
Tamiya paints have been around forever. They're not brilliant for brushing unless you thin it and get it just right, but they're brilliant for airbrushing if you thin it a bit. Revell paints, I'm sure they're probably fine. They're water-based, so they'll dry a bit quicker.
Dave Weatherumgon says, one day Professor Ted Teddington will do another weathering video. Hint, hint. Yes, Professor Skipperton is producing another video at the moment, I believe. It should be out.
I've seen a white coat moving around on the camera off screen.
Yeah, there may be one due in the pipeline soon. It just needs somebody to do some credits, and but there'll be something out very shortly. One hopes.
Paul Davey says, you're getting lots of questions tonight. I like this. It's just less work for us to do.
You can't do any chatting and rambling and things like this.
We'll have to take a break from the questions for a bit. Paul Davey says, question, is it better to use airbrush to prime or rattle can, i.e. Tamiya? I'll let you have that one, Ted.
Sorry, I was reading. The questions are coming in on the emails.
Awesome. Come in, awesome. Is it better to use airbrush to prime or rattle can, i.e. Tamiya?
It depends on what facilities you've got. If you've got the airbrush setup and the spray booth and things like that, I think it's far cheaper and quicker to use an airbrush, even with the cleaning and that. I'd go down the airbrush route. Because cans really need to go outside with them. You can do them in your spray booth, but just clogs it up a little bit more, I think.
I mean, my kind of rule of thumb is I'm incredibly lazy. So if I've got a really big model, I'll rattle can primer it because it takes 5 minutes. Like this thing, I would have loved to have rattle can primed it, but it's too big. It's too visible outside. If it's a really big thing, and it's too big for my workspace, I'll have to rattle can it. But then you're depending on the weather being not damp and not cold and not horrible. So it depends what you're doing. I suppose for quality, I prefer Airbrush, because things like the UMP/Steinar Res/Ammo One Shot is just the best primer I've come across for the smoothness. But if I've just got to quickly prime, let's say I had to prime that, my little USS Reliant, I'm not going to get the airbrush out to prime that and then clean the airbrush for 10 minutes. I'll get it on the stick and take it outside and rattle can it, just because of speed. So it depends what you're doing. If you just need to quickly prime something, just get a rattle can. But it is more expensive. You know, a can of rattle can primer might cost you 6, 7, 8 quid. Whereas, you know, for 6, 7, 8 quid or whatever the price is, your bottle of UMP primer, that's gone down that much, and that's all the Eagle. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the entire priming for the entire Eagle build, that much. And when I did the big 3.5 foot tall Master Chief, it was about that much primer I used from a different bottle. Yeah. So it's about the same price as a rattle can, but it'll last you a lot longer. But
yeah, it's
just cleaning your airbrush, basically.
Yeah, just down to speed and convenience, and obviously, as Fox says, the size of the model as well.
Yes. The only, like Ted says, though, you cannot ever rattle can indoors, because everybody in the house will hate you for about a week.
Yeah.
You'll also kill yourself.
Yeah, so you can, as I say, you can try it through your spray booth, but it'll just clog the filters up because it chucks a lot of paint and fumes out. Well,
the thing I've learned with rattle cans and spray booths is when you press that button, some of the spray goes into the spray booth, the rest of it just billows out, because there's so much your spray booth can't cope. So just don't ever spray a rattle can indoors. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. The toxicity and the fact that everybody will hate you.
Right, just going down for some more questions. We'll take a couple more questions, and we're going to have a look about what's in store.
Oh, there's Rusting Customs Models. This is one for you, Ted. A question: what metallic painting method should I use for a 1/32 scale Focke-Wulf 190 engine aluminium, e.g., dry brushing, airbrushing, etc.?
And yeah, we'll go over to what's in store.
I'd personally say airbrush it.
Yeah, yeah, I got the question now. What metallic painting method should I use for a Focke-Wulf engine? Aluminium, dry brush, dry airbrush, then dry brush. Yeah, do it in lots of different colours. I would do the base colour for the engine first. Do it a nice sort of dark metallic engine. I've got one
engine colour. He says
engine colour. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice engine colour. Done.
Yeah, spray a nice engine colour. Full stop. That's it. The next question.
Yeah, I mean, I just say spray your base metallic colours. If you're breaking it like it's just come out of the factory, then you know you should be absolutely fine. In reality, if you're doing it like it's had some service, it's going to be gunky and dirty anyway. So even the best maintained engine will have some dirt and dust. Dry brush metallics, I tend to use that really when I want something to look scuffed and scraped and worn and battered. And
yeah, I wouldn't say it would be all aluminium anyway. There'd be certain parts of it that would be aluminium. The rest, like the block and that, would be a darker sort of metallic engine grey.
I mean, check out things like I mean, obviously you've got lacquer paints like the Alclad metallics, but they're more for your shiny metals. Check out things like the AK extreme metal colors, or the metallic colors. I can't remember exactly what they're called. There's a whole swathe of different manufacturers out there that do metallic colors, acrylics that spray on really nicely. If you want a sort of slightly engine block, dark, dusty iron look, you could check out some of the Mr. Metal lacquer colors, because they're buffable. And they have a color called dark iron, which you can spray on. It looks like gray powder. When you buff it on, it has this nice lustrous dark color, but where the paint's been in a recess, of course, it stays a bit darker, so it gives it some nice engine block kind of depth.
Yeah, something like the gunmetal. I've got a MIG one here. I was trying to find another one I have, but I can't find it. It's not to hand anyway. Just something like a gunmetal, but you don't need to buff it up. Just leave it dull. It will spray on, as Fox says, metallics always spray fantastically.
Bear in mind as well, the AK metallics have some great colours like, and I'm failing on the name straight away, brilliant Fox. They have things like exhaust, heat-stained exhaust and burnt exhaust, and that kind of different shades of colour that you can use to get that kind of, you know, heated engine components. There's all different shades that are nice and complementary.
Yeah, always. We'll start with your airbrushing first, and then build on that. Do your dry brushing after that.
Yeah. Beyond Hope says, question: when are eModels getting the Revell PG Millennium Falcon? Well, yes, you've gone wrong there. Revell don't do the perfect grade Millennium Falcon. Bandai do the perfect grade Millennium Falcon because it's a snap fit kit. Revell do the Master Series Millennium Falcon, which is a rebox of the Fine Molds Millennium Falcon. I don't think the Revell one is available in the UK. It's not UK. It's not, or is it? It might be. The Bandai Perfect Grade Millennium Falcon. I'm still needling eModels to get Bandai on board, but it takes a long time.
I think they will. It's just the room, even though this.
When you just say they've got room now, the door is sold.
Yeah,
I don't know if the Master Millennium Falcon is actually available in the UK at all. It might be. I don't know though. But it's basically just the Fine Molds one, and they did used to stock the Fine Molds Millennium Falcon because I got my first Fine Molds Millennium Falcon from the guys at eModels. They used to have one of the fully built ones for like 900 quid. It was the built and painted ones for 900 quid.
Yeah, there's an answer
for Bandai. Don't worry, I want them selling Gunpla at some point.
Yeah, we'll keep. Yeah, Fox will keep on to them.
Yeah, I'm like needle in the background. Bandai, Gunpla, perfect grade Falcon. It'll take time. All these things take time.
Right. As Linda Dippel says, let's do a what's in store. She's got to go in 20 minutes. Right.
Okay.
Let's go over and have a look at what's in store. Right. So I'll lock it on me.
Just very quickly before you do that, Beyond Hope says Revell are really selling the Bandai in the US. No, Revell are selling the Fine Molds one. I could be wrong, but as far as I know, Revell are licensing the Fine Molds proper glue together kit. It's the only way you can get the Fine Molds Falcon. Bandai do the Bandai. Bandai don't resell or relabel to anybody. So Bandai will be the perfect grade snap fit, and that's through a company called Bluefin in the US.
And Sharman says, can we repeat the last 2 minutes because he had someone at the door? Yeah, right. Right, I've locked it on me. We'll do a screen share. And make sure I'm double checking the buttons before I press them.
Yeah, don't press that wrong button, Ted. Oh. Just before we came on air, it was like Ted's talking to me, so like bing, no sound. I'm like, great, what have you pressed now? Turned his microphone off last night. He says he didn't, but he did.
Right. I've lost it now. Right, here we go. Right. Oh.
Are you locked on you, Tedward?
I'm locked on me. And I'm just about to press the share button. So let's go across and press the share button and have a look. Right.
Sharing.
Kapow. Can we see everything? No, I apologize. I can't now see the chat. So if anything, if anybody says anything, Fox will have to tell me.
I will. I've got an eye on the chattings.
Yeah. Once again,
talk about Ted right now. Go on, slag him off. He won't know. I won't say anything. Honest.
There we are. Is the offers page as usual? It's updated very regularly. There's an Ector 1 there. I actually saw an Ector 1 in Windermere last week. Did I mention that last week?
I've got the siren sound in my head now.
Yeah. So there's the offers page. It changes daily. Always worth a good look.
Yes, go on, check it out because they it all the time.
Yeah, things appear and they're there for a day, they're there for a couple of days, they're there for a week, but they disappear again and then they come back. Right, that's the offers page. What have we got in store this week?
People are talking about you in the chat now, Ted.
Right.
Dave, where's Rum Barker? Probably Beyond Hope. I don't know. Probably unlikely.
Yeah. Right. I shall read the chat later. I'll get you all. Right. These are new in this week, and they're fantastic. We saw the little toon tanks and things like that.
Chibi stuff.
Chibi stuff. These are fantastic.
These are kind of more adorable than standard egg planes because they're even more squidged than egg planes. They're super squidged. They're super chibi.
You could, obviously you can do them in various colours and things like that. There's quite a few of them. There's the Tiger.
Who are these by? Tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of like they're even more squidged. I kind of like them. I do like the Messerschmitt there. I quite like them.
You can have a set of these, and then you can have on the shelf below. You can have all the toon tanks. Really sort of chibi stuff. Right. There's the 109. There's the Supermarine Spitfire Biplane. That's brilliant.
Big bubble canopy. I love that.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's like, whoop.
I suggested to Fox before that what you could do with these, with the canopies, you can actually paint them in a smoke and just sort of, because I don't think there's any interior to them.
Do you know I've tried airbrushing Tamiya smoke. It never ends well.
Right. Maybe,
but there are others out there.
Yeah, I might think of something else. Yeah, but there's a Spitfire.
Ammo do a good smoke colour, which is quite nice.
Spitfire. The Curtis Warhawk Shark Mouth.
Shark Mouth, instantly the best plane ever in the world.
Yeah. So, and let's have a look at what's in the box.
And Dipple calls them squeg planes because they're squidgy and eggy.
Yeah.
So the squeg planes, I like that.
Let's see if we just pick one out here. There's all the loads of decals. Detail. Yeah, there is an interior. Then there's a cockpit.
I think you get a pilot with them, don't you? Do you get a little pilot dude?
I don't know. I'm not sure on that. Let's have a look. That's where we are next. Yeah, could be a good little couple of evenings build these. Bit of fun for those dark nights, or just between models.
Yeah, don't tell the other models you're seeing a different model.
So there's that one there.
Philly says, I quite fancy building the Ecto one. It's on offer, so now we've shown it on screen. It will probably be sold out within about a day. So if you're thinking of picking it up, Phil, pick it up because it won't be there for very long.
Yeah, get them
honestly, when we show stuff on here, they get sold out. When we showed the egg tanks, they were sold out before we'd even finished the show.
Yeah,
and we sold that big Dora like within a day of us showing it, and it's been on the shelf forever. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, pick it up because it won't be there long.
Thinking about it, get it in your basket. Yeah, and then wait till the end of the show and check out at the end of the show.
Yeah, as soon as we show something on screen, it's gone.
Yeah. So there's the I would say the Soviet aircraft. Lavochkin.
You need to pronounce, got it? I can't do the accent. Shaman Adrian says, put a set of eyes on the canopy like Toy Story. No, it's wrong.
Right, so yeah, those are worth it. They're brand new in. They're not going to last long. So yeah, if you fancy one, and they're great pocket money price as well.
Yeah, 10 quid, brilliant.
10 quid, yeah, brilliant.
They do seem a little different to egg planes. They seem more kind of, if it makes any sense, they seem more like realistic egg planes.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, you could spend your time just building all these little chippy type aircraft.
Yeah.
Right. One thing we did mention last week was to talk about, we were talking about biplanes and things like that, weren't we? So what I did find was this one. This is the Tamiya 148 Fairly Swordfish.
I like the Swordfish.
Yeah.
I don't into planes, but I do like biplanes, and I don't know why.
If there was ever a biplane to build, I think I'd be tempted to build this one.
The Swordfish, yes.
Yeah.
148 scale, that's going to be pretty big.
Yeah, 148, 56 quid. And the detail on it is immense. That's in Tamiya as well. I wouldn't think there'd be any issues with it, but I'm sure that if you have a look around, if there are any issues, other people have highlighted them and how to get around them. You can build it like that.
It's a Tamiya, and Tamiya do good stuff. You can't really go wrong with a Tamiya.
Yeah, or you could do it wings folded. Yeah, lovely little aircraft. If you know the technique for doing the easy line, the rigging between the wings and that, please let us know, because we'd love to do it properly.
I was saying to Ted earlier on before we went live that I know how you use easy line, the rubbery easy line, to do rigging, and you just touch the end of it to some glue and then touch it where you want to go. So I know how you do it. I just never been able to do it, so you don't have to tie it around the paste it's going, you just touch it to it. I can never do it. I do like easy line though, it's really, really good. I might do some rigging on my space battleship Yamato, even though it's not.
I'll need some easy line for the submarine when I get around to that.
I've got miles of it. It's great stuff.
So
I know you're supposed to use less than you need because you have to stretch it.
Yeah. So there's a Tamiya 148's Fairly Swordfish Mark II, 56 quid. Now then, if you do want to build that, Hataka do a set of paints for it. We were talking about paint sets before. They do 2 sets, the RAF Coastal Command, which I think is in that colour. No, is that? Maybe not. And they also do the RAF Coastal Command, Royal Navy Fleet Air Ram.
It's always worth having a look for paint sets because there's usually something that you need.
So
Dave Weiser Gun Barker says, yeah, not doing another biplane. It's all Fox's fault. I built the last one. I've got bad news for you, Dave. It's a biplane night tonight.
It's
getting another biplane.
So if you as I say, if you want to, no need to scratch around getting the right paints and things for it, but Hataka do the full set for it. So that should it's not loading.
I hear tell that Hataka do great care to get their colours as accurate as possible.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're building any of the Coastal Command aircraft, not just the Swordfish, but there's a set of paints for you. So it can.
Why does the word sword have a W in it, Ted?
Sword.
Why does it have a W in it?
Because it does.
That's your homework. Find out for me why it has a W. It's pointless. Sword.
Sword.
Sword and sworcery.
Sword. Defend yourself with your sword.
Sword. Smashing.
Sword.
Tony Back says fairy, not fairly. Did you say fairly, Ted?
I said fairly.
Did you say fairly? It's fairy.
Is it fairy?
It's fairy. Yeah.
Fairy sword.
Fairy. Yeah, it's fairy, not fairly.
I'd go with fairly. Fairy doesn't sound right for a fighter aircraft, does it? Yeah, there's that one. There's those anyway. So a couple of sets of paints for the Tamiya fairy swordfish. What
Fairy,
does it say?
yes. As in thing that lives at the bottom of the garden.
Yeah, it hasn't got an L in it, so it is fairy swordfish. Yes, yeah. Correct.
I knew that. I just didn't notice you'd said fairly. But Tony picked up on it. Bad Ted. You're banned again.
All right. Let's go and have a look at another biplane, triplane.
Triplane, yeah.
Triplane, yeah. This is a 1/72nd scale Fokker DR1. I think this is the same type as the Red Baron. I'm sure you guys out there will tell me if I'm wrong. Famous in the First World War. And it comes with a set of decals for 5 options. 5 option UART photo etch, masking, no resin parts, and it's got a masking set as well.
I do like the fact you always pick things that you can't pronounce.
That's what I thought. Yes, that's what I thought.
Edward. People would complain if I didn't correct you because it's funny.
Edward. I did see a German aircraft before. I thought, no, I'm not having that one because even I can't pronounce that.
Next week, I'll try and get Ted to pick a load of Zvezda kits and see how he struggles with that one.
Yeah, so there's a cracking set from this company.
Yeah, good little weekend build, that Fokker triplane.
Yeah. I suppose you could paint it red as well if you've got the markings. Markings
with Hello Kitty stickers. That's what you want.
Yes. Well, it's got.
Oh, I've got an answer for us, Ted.
Go on.
Google says, so TK's done no work at all. Google says sword, sword, I can't not say sword now, is derived from the Dutch word zwaard, you're welcome. TK being Dutch, obviously.
He must be asleep again.
Yeah, see, if you hadn't said Google says TK, we'd be even more impressed. You should have just said you knew it. I'm also assuming I pronounced zwaard correctly.
Right, what else? Last one for tonight. What's in store? The British version, the Hispano-Suiza.
I don't know if you're supposed to pronounce it like the Spanish Suiza or just Suiza, but we both don't know. So
yeah, but it's Eduard.
Paul Stewart says that I just messed up Zvezda. I did as well, didn't I? Zvezda. There you go. Carry on, Ted. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Where were we? Yeah. Right. So this is the English version. So you can have. This is 148, isn't it? Apart from the other one was 1/72.
Yes.
But this one could be closer.
I like the shape of the fuselage on that. The kind of flat bottom bit. It's just a nice. It's like an old vintage car. It's just got that kind of classic look to it. I don't know what it is about biplanes. But I have no interest in planes, but biplanes, I quite like biplanes.
Yeah, I think it was somebody in the chat last week who said they were into building these, and I thought, yeah, well, this
might have to get a biplane at some point.
I think I'll go back. If I was building a biplane, I'd go back to the fairy swordfish. Yeah, has to be that one. I think there's a few. Yeah, it's quite a popular aircraft. There's a few manufacturers out there that got this in different scales.
I don't know. I like that last one you showed. Actually, I like that last one you showed. It's a bit more of a biplane.
The Hispano.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. It's got more of it. I don't know. It's just I can just see it in my head like wobbling from side to side, and it's all kind of clunky, and it's like by the seat of your pants. I think that's why I like them, because I like cars. I like my cars to be as primitive as possible, which I had an old Land Rover Series 3. So I think it's the same thing of I like them to be as clunky and mechanical as possible.
It's just unfortunate in the First World War, didn't the pilots have a very short chance of living? It was very sort of, was it a matter of couple of days. The chances of surviving. It's just yeah, so it's flying, yeah, really flying by the seat of the pants in that one, wasn't it?
Shadowland Scale Model says, check out Wingnut Wings on eModels site, Ted. Yes, they do stock a lot of Wingnut Wings as well, for everything which we could show tonight. So,
yeah,
and I think we've shown some of their stuff before. But yes, they have got Wingnut Wings on eModels. They do a lot of biplanes. Vincent at Mr. Lost Model Maker says, Hispania Suiza was Spanish. Actually, they were the ones that built the ME-109 under license for Franco, which is why there are so many left over for movies. Half the Battle of Britain was Suizas or Suizas.
Oh, wow. Well, see, you can learn something all the time on your eModels chat. Right.
Don't forget to unlock it.
Right, unlocked.
Sharman Adrian says, Fox, is biplanes on your bucket list? I will actually have to do a biplane at some point.
Yeah.
I might maybe do my next eModels build as a biplane. I'm going to regret saying that, but I might do. Unless there's some kick-ass sci-fi kit I need to build in their stock.
Yeah, there's some great. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to go across to the Wingnut site. There's just one or two aircraft what's in store that I'll pick out tonight. So tonight was a biplane night. Well, it's a bit of an aircraft night. Cheap with the chibi things and that.
Zadster says it was called Suiza because one of the original partners, the engineer, was Swiss.
Oh,
there you go.
I learn everything.
We are learning all the things. From all the comments on there about biplanes, I'm suspecting we might have sold a few biplanes tonight.
Right. Where are we up to? Sorry, I'm just catching up on the chat.
No new questions in chat?
Right, we do have a few questions in the email.
Have we? Ooh. Give to me your email questions, Tedward.
Born.
Lynn Dipple says she's got to go to work. Bye, peeps. Thanks for coming, Lynn.
Right.
Shadowland Scale Model says, lovely to see biplanes featured. Nice one. I just love biplanes.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
They're just pleasing.
If you would like to see something featured as an idea, you can always email me at ted@emodels.co.uk because we're always looking for sort of a theme to have a look about what's in store, what would interest you. So drop me a line and we'll consider it for the following week's show.
And if you know, if in a show we show like whatever's in store and there's nothing in there that's to your particular taste, like if you like submarines and we show planes, or you like tanks and we show, I don't know, spacecraft or something, don't panic. We can only show like 4 or 5, and everybody likes different things. So you know, we're not going to show every kind of model every week. We'll try and show some interesting things each week, and we'll try and break it up. But you know, we'll sometimes have the shiny cars or the planes or the tanks, or whatever. So a few people have said, you know, you never show this or that. It's like, we show 3 or 4 things, but we'll try and break it up. But if you don't see anything you like, there's be a lot more in the offer section around the rest of the site, and we'll show something different each week anyway. But Chris, Gross Model says, just don't do a 1/144 scale night. I can't afford it. Ted, next week, 1/144 scale night. We'll have about 35 things to show.
Yeah, and it's getting near Christmas, so you could put them on your Christmas list. But a question from the email from Smoo. Terry Wright says, he's recently purchased a resin figure and he would like to do her jacket in Stuart tartan. Is there a tartan paint we could recommend or suggest a way for painting it with an airbrush? Yeah, eModels are out of stock for the tartan paint at the moment. It's under the same section.
Polka dot paint, I think, and the camouflage.
Yeah, and also it's for the long stands as well. They're there as well. But
they have got some glass hammers, I think.
Yeah,
I think possibly still. Although we mentioned it now, so they'll be sold out.
Yeah, check anyway. If it's on the website, it's in stock. If it's not there, unfortunately it's out of stock, so you'll maybe have to wait for your tartan paint for a couple of weeks.
Smearing your tartan paint, you I don't know. Yeah, bam pot.
Right, we've done the did we do a retarder one?
Yeah, go for it. I've actually got a couple of questions coming up in chat, but I'll try and keep them highlighted.
Could you tell me if there? This is from Daniel. Could you tell me if there's any good alternatives to Tamiya retarder that I can buy in the UK? For Tamiya retarder, well,
I didn't even know they did one, to be honest.
I didn't think they did one.
Tamiya, I'm guessing Tamiya retarder will be different from other retarders because Tamiya is alcohol-based, not water-based paint. So I don't know. Things like Vallejo and AK do their own retarders, and Game Color have the retarders, but they're water-based paints. So I don't honestly. I didn't even know Tamiya did one, to be honest. You don't really need one for Tamiya. You just need to thin it.
Yeah, just thin it out. Yeah, it should be all right.
If you're airbrushing it, just thin the living carp out. If you're brushing it, really, really thin it. Or if you're trying to brush something, just don't use Tamiya paint.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, that's that one. Yeah, I can't think of any other way of retarding that. Or models. Sean Johnson.
Do you want me to drop one in from the chat, or are you doing the next email
from the chat. Somebody,
John Savage says, "What's the best way to paint afterburners for the blue burnt look?"
Oh, it's a whole evening's tuition for that one.
Yes, I would say, because we would be here for hours. Have a look on the YouTubes. There's a million different ways of doing it. You can use. I've seen a lot of it's down to airbrushing. I've seen people use inks, artist inks, thin down, and use blue, a purple, and a brown. I've seen people just use things like Tamiya smoke and Tamiya clear blue and purples and things like that. It's one of those things that there's lots of different ways to do it, but there's no right and wrong, and certainly no particular way that we could explain now in less than an hour.
Yeah, I think didn't Tony do a little tutorial on it in his motorbike build?
Yes, when Tony did his Yamaha. If you go on the eModels YouTube channel, which you're on now, have a look at Tony's Yamaha build. He did do some bluing on the exhaust there, and that was just one method of doing it. He used airbrushed some clear colors. I have seen some fantastic results using artist inks though. So have a look at that. That looks quite interesting.
When it's done well, it does look pretty.
It's easy to make it look terrible.
Yeah,
but it's quite hard to get it to look brilliant, but they can look fantastic. This is one, I don't know if you've got an email. I think you've got the same question on email, but it might be. I've got one from Charmin Adrian. What's the most interesting kit Fox and Ted made? Is that the same question that we've had through email? Is that a different person?
I think I got the same question off Chris Williams. What's the model we've most enjoyed and what's the one we've hated?
Oh, okay, we'll do both at the same time then.
Yeah, the most interesting one up to now is the one that I've done is the tank, but that submarine beats that one.
For those who might not have seen it, Ted, which tank was it?
Oh, right, it was the... For
anybody who's watching for the first time, they might not know what it is. So.
Yeah, it was a Panzer IV from Trumpeter in 1/16 scale. I forget what I built now. Yeah, that was
many moons ago.
Yeah,
years
it seems so long ago. Yeah, there was the... yeah, I've just had the instructions for it.
You did?
You did. Yeah. It was the Panzer IV. What's H medium tank in a fantastic, huge 1/16 scale. I enjoyed it.
In real life, it was massive.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because there was lots to do in it, and also when it was finished, you could slap it on and weather it.
You spent like 5 episodes building the interior that nobody ever saw again after that.
Nobody else. Put the top on again. Nobody can ever see it again. Yeah.
What about your least favourite?
My least favourite.
Not easy, is it?
I don't know. It's not easy. Is it? Yeah, it's not an easy question. I'll try to have a look around, see if there's any remnants of any old kits or anything. But I can't say I ever have had a horrid kit. They may have gone together horrid, but I've adapted and made it work, and then I've been sort of quite happy with it at the end.
I mean, for me, I'd say favourite kit. I'm going to have to say, because I haven't built my Space Battleship Yamato yet, so I'm going to have to say my Fine Molds Millennium Falcon. I've built 2 of those. And that, just a beautiful kit. I'd never built a Fine Molds before. It was a beautiful kit. It was massive. It went together like a dream. Fine Molds don't make it anymore, but it's now the Revell Master, the Millennium Falcon. That is the Fine Molds Millennium Falcon, just relabeled as Revell. So if you want a bit of model making history, it's that. It's until the Bandai one came along, which is now more accurate, and the D'Agostini one, which is more accurate. It was the best Millennium Falcon kit available up until a couple of years ago. So yeah, if that was great fun to build and an absolute joy to paint. It just went together perfectly. Brilliant. Least favorite kit or build that I've done, I never even built it, and I've mentioned it before. It was the £7 off the shelf in an art store, Airfix 1/72 scale Junkers JU52, which I opened the box, looked at the quality of the plastic inside, and what I did was I adapted to it by binning most of it and putting the bits I could use into my bits box for spares and greebles. It was gash. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. It was 99% flash with a hint of kit. Everything was warped, and I was like, I'm not even going to bother making that. It was only £7. It was like a 400-year-old tooling on the clearance shelf at the local art store. I'm like, £7. I'll have that while I'm buying some other stuff. Yeah. So I never even built it, but I know I would have hated every minute of it.
Yeah. Right. Oh, we really have to get through the questions tonight. Sean Johnson says, hi, Ted and Fox. Excuse me. I'm quite new to airbrushing and use a Sparmax 0.4 brush from eModels. When would I need to use a brush with a smaller needle size? He's loving the live stream. Thank you very much, Sean. Yeah. Using a smaller needle size is when you want to get finer detail. The larger the needle, the bigger spread you're going to get, the more paint you can get down. Or I usually use a 0.4. And just generally stick with it. I'm on my Neo, which is a 0.35, and I've got a something else which I've forgotten what it is, an Iwata Revolution, I think, which is a 0.5, I think. And they do me fine. Really, you only want to go below. With a 0.4, you're probably fine unless you want to get into, like Ted says, detail painting. Where you might want to, I mean, even with the 0.4 you've got, if you get the pressure down low and you get the airbrush really close to the thing you're painting and don't pull much air through, you can actually get quite fine detail. But the smaller the needle and the smaller the nozzle and everything else, that's where you get into real fine detail. So if you wanted to paint, for example, a really complex airbrushed camouflage pattern, or you might be airbrushing a figure, so you've got a 1/6 scale figure, you might be airbrushing the face or something like that. You can use that for really tiny details. But downside of a small needle is you can't cover large areas. So if I was blocking in, I'll mention my space battleship Yamato game, it's like this long. When I block it in, I'm not going to use my 0.35. I'll use my 0.5 because it'll be quick. The bigger the needle, the bigger amount of space you cover. But if you're not doing lots of little tiny details, you're fine. Stick with it. Yeah, that's it. That's the advantage of having a brush with interchangeable needles. Yeah, but it's not often. I got a 0.2. I think I got the 0.2 with my H&S Evolution 2. But I've never used it. I just took it out and never used it yet.
I mean, like I said, this is a 0.35 and yours is a 0.4. I use this for everything. The only reason I use my 0.5 is when I'm using something that requires solvents, because I don't know if this is solvent safe. It's an older one. So I don't quite trust running solvents and lacquer thinners and IPA through it. So, but this does me everything. Unless it's something like, say, really big, in which case I use my 0.5 to get the coverage.
Tony Black says there, practice on a bit of paper, get some ink. Rather than putting some paint through it, ink's a little bit easier to clean up. Put some ink through it and just.
But you'd be surprised how fine you can get with even a 0.4. Just go very low pressure or lower pressure, not much air, and get really close, and just gently pull the trigger up, depress the button, and you can actually get some quite fine detail.
Yeah.
You might not need to go on top. Smith says, haha, I thought Ted would dodge that one. Props for reading it out, lol. Ian Balged he'd.
Right, sorry, Roddy Hobbit, sort of in English and Dutch. I think it's Dutch. Good evening, everyone. How often do you varnish? Primer paint, chipping, gloss varnish, decals varnish, weathering between those weathering steps. When do you varnish? Streaking and pigment. Greetings, Roddy.
Are you doing a Dutch there?
V-A-R-N-I-S-C-H. Oh, yeah, apologies for making fun of you, Roddy, but no.
I quite like the sound of varnish with this SCH.
How often we do a varnish? How many times do you need to varnish? Primer paint, chipping, gloss, varnish, yeah. Decals, varnish, yeah. Weathering, between those weathering steps, when do you varnish? Streaking and pigment.
Tend not to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, It depends what weathering you're doing. Normally my routine will be paint everything, gloss varnish, decals, potentially a gloss varnish if I'm doing pin washes, then all the weathering.
Rod is from Belgium, by the way, so it's not. I apologize.
It's not a Dutch. It's a Belgian.
It's not a Dutch.
Wait, the Belgians don't have. But anyway. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I stopped you midstream there. So
that's all right.
How often you varnish?
TK knows exactly what I mean by the Dutch. I can taste that now. It's all gone wrong. So yeah, if I'm depending on what I'm doing, gloss, decals, gloss, and then if I'm doing things like lots of enamels and stuff, I'll just do them, and then do the matte coat at the end. Because with enamel, say weathering products like the ammo stuff, you can do one layer of it, give it 24 hours, go in with the next layer, give it 24 hours to dry, and you can build up the layers that way. They won't interfere with each other. If you're doing oil paint weathering, so you're doing like dot filters or streaking, again, you can do that, give it 24 hours, and then go in with the next one. So you don't need to do another coat of any of those. You can just do all the weathering, build it up, and then matte varnish the finished thing or gloss it however you want. If you're doing a gunk wash, where you take the raw oil paint and put it all over the model, what do you do with it, Ted?
Slap it on, yes.
I've got him well trained. If you were doing a gunk wash where you put all the paint on and then rub it all off, you'd need to leave that for 5 days to dry. So you might then want to put a protective, say, matte coat on the top of that just to completely lock it in. But that's about it, really. I mean, I tend to do gloss, decals, gloss, and then all the weathering if I can.
Yeah,
sometimes the least amount of times I can do extra gloss varnish is the better.
Basically. Sometimes I'll give it a blow over with the varnish if I put pigments on, just to tie them on, just to hold them. If I haven't got any pigment fixer, I'll do it that way, and then go on after that, just to tie them on.
The other thing is, of course, depending on what you're doing, if you're doing like gloss and decals, you don't have to then go off with another gloss coat. If you're going to be doing anything like pin washes or anything where you need a smooth surface, like a pin wash where you want the paint to flow around the edges, do a gloss coat after your decals. If you're just going to do things like dry brushing and powders and pastels, you can just go after the decals. You can go straight for a matte coat. It doesn't matter. The only difference is the matte coat is a rough surface, so you can't really do pin washes and washes after the matte surface. That's why you want to do the gloss after your decals. But other than that, you don't really need to do lots of varnishing between weathering steps. Just if you're using enamels or oils, but not a gunk wash, just give it 24 hours between each step. So like I might do, when I did my Falcon, it was like, get the whole thing painted, I gloss varnished it, I did a wash of Tamiya smoke, left that for 24 hours. Then I did some dot filter with oil paints, wiped it all off with the brush, left it for 24 hours. Then come over with the oil paint streaking, same again, and they don't interfere because after about 24 hours, those thin layers of oil paints have dried quite nicely. It's only gunk washes you have to maybe varnish over.
Yeah. Shaman says I should have a T-shirt with "Slap It On" written on the back.
Slap it on.
Slap it on. I'm going to try and get it to Telford, so you know it's me. Slap it on.
Yes. Kenneth M says, question, have you tried using isopropyl alcohol to apply pigment powders? Yes, that's one of the options.
Yeah.
The best option is pigment fixer. It does hold it much better.
Yeah, I also tried the X20 thinners.
Yep.
Do it as well.
Yeah, they'll all work to varying degrees. X28 thinners is kind of the weakest grip. Depends how much. If you're putting lots of powder on, thinners is the weakest grip. Isopropyl alcohol is a pretty good grip. Pigment fixer is actually a really good grip. But then try and follow it up with, like Ted said earlier, a varnish coat over the top.
Yeah, it just stops it getting blown away, really, and then build it up from that, and it's sort of, you can build it up.
If you're using Tamiya weathering pastels, they're a bit different. You don't need to use a fixer. Just put them on, and then when you're finished, do your matte coat over the top. Just be aware that they will tend to, and with any pigments and powders, when you put a varnish coat on top, some of it will dissolve and fade away. So you might have to go back and add more afterwards because it might reduce the effect down a bit. I love powders.
Yeah, great. Yeah, really, when you get to that stage, that's a bit of a build I like, is getting down to the weathering and yeah.
I love the Ammo Dark Earth because it looks like a pot of soil. If I didn't know better, I'd say Ammo's just sold me a pot of soil. It's great.
Yeah, you could have gone to the garden centre and bought 5 litres.
Really fine soil.
Yeah. Dave says we don't need. I don't need a T-shirt. It just needs to look out for the bloke that's out of focus.
Yeah, it's not a focus on his camera. He puts Vaseline on the lens to make himself look. He's taken the leaf out of Joan Collins' book.
It's soft focus.
Wait, am I giving out all the secrets here? Is it this whole sausage factory thing explaining it?
Right. Where are we up to now?
I think we need to give somebody something from last week, don't we?
All right. Yeah, it's that time.
It's nonsense to give away. Before we do that, Kenneth then says, "Is it safe for Gundams?" No, don't use any thinners of any kind ever on any kind of Gunpla or Bandai kit. Isopropyl alcohol, thinners, oil paint thinners, mineral spirits, anything like that, it may damage the plastic. Just don't even bother. That's where, if I've used pigments on a Gunpla, I'll just seal them in with a matte varnish. Gunpla plastic just hates any kind of thinners or anything like that, so just don't even bother. Anyway, sorry, Ted.
Right,
yes.
Right, yeah, it's that time. Just a moment. Oh, thank you very much.
You get stuff from my mum?
Yeah.
Is that my mum in your shed?
Yeah, I've just received the results of the winner of last week's giveaway.
They're not official police colours, you know, Ted.
We're giving away. I can't find a picture of it because I've lost it. We were giving away a shiny car from last week at the Revel. Was it the Lamborghini?
We were giving away if I remember rightly, it was a
shiny car.
We've got it written down somewhere. We know what it was.
It was a shiny car. I think it was number 07051. Never mind.
Yes.
Anyway,
important to note, by the way, it was one that we decided to give out and didn't bother telling Pete, mate. So it's entirely possible that it might even be out of stock. So if it is, we'll obviously let you know and we'll give you something to similar value. Yeah. Because me and Ted did it on a whim, and we'll do these sometimes where me and Ted just pick a prize.
Yeah.
We kind of have to tell Pete to keep one back, but we don't always.
We wait for the phone to ring, but nothing so far.
So if we've had no phone call and we give a prize away, we try and remember to tell Pete not to sell one of them. But if that one isn't in stock, we'll give you something to equivalent value. Yeah. Equally as cool. Somebody said, Kenneth and Nate said it was a McLaren.
Was it a McLaren?
It was a McLaren.
It was a shiny car anyway, wasn't it?
Yes.
Right, and I'm about to announce the winner from last week's
I'll do it with my loud keys.
And the winner was picked at random by a random people picker.
A random picking thing. We use a third-party website that picks a YouTube comment at random.
And the winner from last week's giveaway is... And the winner is Festa67's workshop. Is comment number 10. Well done.
Number 10.
Festa67. Festa67 workshop. Well done. Thank you.
Yes, well done. You have won yourself whatever it was, McLaren.
Yep. You need
so seriously. We just can't remember what we gave away. I'm typing the email address. You know what it is.
You know what it is. ted@emodels.co.
I'll put it in the chat anyway.
I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in the comments below this video if you're watching it on catch up. So that's you.
Yes. So Festa67, drop an email to ted@emodels.co.uk.
Yeah.
Say I won that thing.
Yeah.
And then Pete will be like, "What did we give away now that I didn't know about? What?"
Yeah. Should we give some else away?
Yeah, we've not had any phone calls yet, have we?
We haven't.
We'll wait to see to the end, and then if we don't get any calls, maybe just pick something at random. I reckon.
We think so.
Yeah, I reckon. But like we were saying, when we do one of these, we'll pick something that you're going to win. It might not be in stock if we forget to tell Pete. So Pete normally says, "Please, can you give this away as a prize?" And they'll know. But sometimes we just choose one, and Pete doesn't know about it. So
right. Right, hang on a minute. I'm just having a look.
Chris at Grace Model says, impressed that Fox's drumroll typing was Ted's email. Paul Stewart says, give away another giant Dora. There isn't another giant Dora. Apparently, there's only 3 of those left in the whole UK now.
Oh.
Only 3 left in the entire UK, which is basically the entire world, really, as we all know.
Yeah, but if you want one.
Yeah, Dave Wasram Gumbark says cheese and onion.
Right.
That's stuck from that 1 week, isn't it?
Right. The mug time. In eModels mug. Want to win an eModels mug? If you want to win an eModels mug, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Am I out of focus?
Well, the thing is, I've got you so tiny on my screen that I can't tell anyway. You're about 240p at the minute, which is...
Right, let's give an eModels mug away. And it'd be an easy. I've got a question tonight. If you wish to win an eModels mug, you can take part. All you have to do is answer in the chat. This is for the people that come in and join in the chat. You can win an eModels mug like this, like this. If you don't happen to win an eModels mug, you can still order them from eModels, and they'll send it free postage. So yeah, that's what you can do. Right.
If you've already got an eModels mug, you're more than welcome to have a go and see if you can win another one. You can have a collection of them. They're like when Shell used to give away little drinking glasses in the garages in the 1980s, except those used to break and these don't. If you want to win another one, you're more than welcome. If you don't want another one though, and you've already got one, don't answer, because then it gives everybody else a chance. We will pick the first answer that comes up in the chat. Now, bear in mind, as we always say, we see chat differently to you guys. Yours is tailored for you. We see everybody's comments. So it's the first comment that comes up on our screens.
Yeah.
Have you thought of a question, Ted?
Yeah, eModels are showing the big Dora in stock. Oh,
are they? No, maybe they have got another one.
I wonder if they've got another one. It's not the one. It's not the 130. It's not the 172nd scale one, is it?
They've got a one. I think they're a 144.
I'll have to look at it.
Maybe they've got another one. Maybe they grabbed it.
Yeah. Anyway,
maybe they had a shot.
It's quite a simple question. It's quite a simple question this week. All we need to know, and you can't answer till I say go.
Yeah, don't answer till Ted says go.
Yeah. All I need to know is who made the decals for Fox's model. Go.
Talked about them earlier.
Yeah, we talked about earlier. Who made the decals?
See if you can map out that answer. There's a clue. You see what I did? You see what I did there, Ted? I'm dead proud of that.
See what you did there?
It's not true what they say about me, you know. Oh, bang! There you go, straight away from Lewis.
Carl, yeah, well done, Phil Lewis.
Oh god, the chat won't stop moving. There's supposed to be a button I can press to stop chat jumping around, but it doesn't.
No. Yeah, Phil Lewis.
Phil Lewis, Cartograf. Lovely.
Yeah.
Drop an email to ted@emodels.co.uk, Phil, and claim your mugness.
Yeah, I did get last week's. Casper sent me his details tonight for last week's winner as well, so I'll get them both off to Peter.
Cool.
We'll do that.
When you say you'll get them sent out, you mean Pete will get them sent out. You don't have to send those out.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Ted likes giving the mugs away because he doesn't have to do that, you see.
Yeah, I don't have to go to the post office.
Hello, Ted. Ted broke there for a second.
Did a break.
You went, It was like the titles at the end of Police Squad. We need to do that at some point, Ted. We need to do that by pouring a drink and be like...
Right. I forgot where we were now.
We haven't got any stickers yet, have we? Because we're still waiting for the new ones, I think.
There has been something on eModels' Facebook page about stickers, but I don't think there are stickers are in stock or back yet, but we'll start giving them out as soon as they are. Right. I'm just checking to see if any more eModels. Right. Okay. Phone hasn't rang.
No, phone's not rang.
Should we give something away anyway? Should we give something away for the people that can't get into chat because they might be at work or on the mobile or on the tablet?
Just before we do, Smooth says, is there any news on that competition of taking a picture with the eModel sticker yet? Remember the one from ages ago?
I don't think that one took off really. I don't think we've got anybody.
I know Smooth sent some, and I think we got a few entries. It was actually the guys at eModels themselves kind of taking care of that one, so I don't.
Yeah.
Sure what happened with it. I think it might have died a death.
Possibly. Yeah, I think what they did was they put everybody's entries over into the gallery with the chance to win. Don't forget the gallery as well. There's a chance to win that great model just by entering your picture into the eModels gallery on the web.
That great model, says Ted, not remembering what the great model was.
I can't remember what it was.
Win that great prize. It was the Corsair, Ted.
It was a Corsair.
Yes. Get yourself across to emodels.co.uk/gallery. Upload a picture of one of your builds. One picture per build, ideally, but you can do as many pictures as you like. Spend some time reviewing other people's builds. We will go through on the 1st of November. we will go through and we'll look at all the ones that have got 5-star reviews from all you guys. You've all reviewed them yourselves. It's all peer review. It's like science. It's like science.
Mm.
We'll look at all the 5-star ones and we'll pick our favorite for the month. And that person, in this case, will win the Tamiya 135th. I could be wrong. It's the big Corsair.
Yeah.
Plane.
Yeah, it's a Tamiya. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's 148th or 135th or 112th or some stupid scale like that. It's massive anyway. It's a beautiful. It's the new retool, new release. TK's off. Bye bye, TK.
Bye, TK.
Thanks for helping out. It's the new one with all the photo etch and the bits and the bigness, and it's brilliant. So we'll pick a winner on the first, and then we'll do it each month. We'll do a prize each month, and we'll just go through and pick whichever one we think is our favorite that month. And it's not going to be whatever's been uploaded in that previous month. Shadowland scale model says it's 1/32. It could be one that was uploaded 6 months before. So we'll just go through. But it's important that you spend some time reviewing each other's work, because the more people that review yours, you'll review theirs, and it all adds up. So we'll look for the 5-star reviews. Don't review your own stuff. We'll spot that.
Yeah.
There's been a few, and we've been like, no, can't do that.
Yeah. Oh, right. No phone call. Hang on.
Got a dialing tone.
Got a dialing tone. Never mind. Right. Yes. Right. So we'll give something away, and we won't. Yeah, we'll tell him. Hey, Pete, we'll give this away.
Yeah, we should probably tell him to keep one back in stock there this time.
Now it could. Yeah. Right.
Might be a good idea this time. So, hey, Pete, we gave some stuff away, by the way. Thanks for that. We didn't know.
Yeah. How about I'll screen share, and then I'll show you what we're giving away. Sure.
It'd be good to see what people were giving away to people.
Yeah. Right. Hang on. Screen share. I've got to press the right buttons, because otherwise it shuts the stream down, and oops, they've all gone.
Yeah, don't press that button.
Don't press that
Don't
button.
leave me on my own. I'll be like, oh.
Right. Woo. Go down. How about
yes,
that?
we're giving away Ted Desktop.
Should we give that? Should we give one of these chibi Supermarine Spitfires away?
Yeah, let's do a Spitfire.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. Should we do a Spitfire or a Messerschmitt? What do you reckon? What do you reckon? People, yeah, go on, Spitfire. I reckon
Spitfire.
It's the best plane ever designed by humans.
Yeah.
Oh
right.
no.
Yeah. Now, right. If you want to win one of these super chibi, is that the right word? Chibi.
Chibi, yeah.
Chibi. It's cute. It means cute, doesn't it?
Chibi is kind of cute. Kawaii means cute in Japanese. I'm not sure what chibi specifically means.
All right. So
kawaii. This is more kawaii, I think, than chibi.
Yeah. So if you want to win one of these Tiger models or chibi Supermarine Spitfire, you have to answer in the comments underneath this video when it uploads to YouTube. No use answering it in chat right now, because
I have a phrase, by the way. I have a phrase. I've come up with one.
Your comment won't count. But right, if it happens that they have sold this out, you may get one of the other type instead of the Spitfire.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll try and let Pete know to hold one back, but it's always the chance that by the time we finish this show, you've all bought them. Yeah. So if it's not that one, it'll be one and similar one. But
I'll have to go and get my credit card out myself to buy one before they all sell. Right.
But yes, if you want to enter it, don't comment in the chat. This is open to everybody for the next week, so people who aren't watching this live can take part. Put a comment under the video. If you're watching now live, give it about 10 minutes after the stream finishes. Go to the eModels YouTube page, and this live stream will have been archived and will be an actual permanent video. Comment on there. And the phrase we want you to type this week is "Chocks away ginger."
Ah, that's a good one. Yeah, chocks away.
Now, I know some people might know how to spell all of that, but as long as it's roughly "chocks away ginger," it'll be fine. However you want to spell it. Yeah, we're not really too fussed about the spelling. But "chocks away ginger."
Chocks away.
I'll type it in chat for people watching.
Tally ho.
Chocks away ginger. There we go. So chocks away ginger.
That's it.
Again, don't worry if you don't exactly know how to spell it. We'll just
it doesn't matter about the spelling or the apostrophes or the plurals or the
as long as we can realise it's saying something like "chocks away ginger."
Yeah, that's it. We'll get that off to you, or one like it if the Spitfire is there. I'm sure
we will let Pete know, but yes, we found out that often when we show a kit on this live stream, it's actually sold out before we even finish the live stream. So
I've just refreshed the eModels live stream, sorry, the eModels website, and it is still there at the moment.
Basically, imagine it as a, you can win this prize, star. Winning of this prize not guaranteed. Other prize may be substituted.
Yeah. Terms and conditions.
Participating stores worldwide. So yes, put Chocks Away Ginger in the chat under the YouTube video. Give it 10 or 15 minutes if you're watching it live now.
Yeah, and we would like, when you receive your prize, we would like to see a picture. We send a picture in, yeah, and we'll have a look.
Pop Ted at eModels a picture with you going.
Yep.
When you can.
Yeah.
And we'll pick a winner on Monday next week.
Yeah, that's it. Right, it's 20 to 11 now.
Oh, blooming heck!
Yeah, it's time for me to go eat my mince pie.
Ted, it's not Christmas. How old is that mince pie now? Has it got ring? Can you date it by the rings?
No, it's this. They are in the shops now. Not available from eModels.
Do we need to get the dendrochronologist out to have a look at it? You can tell I used to watch Time Team. I know all the words. It's a fresh
mince pie because it's only 77 days to Christmas.
I actually went into I walked past a shop today that had all the Christmas stuff up, and I'm like, for crying out loud, it's October. They were stocking it for Christmas next year. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
Humbug.
Yeah.
Don't believe in Christmas. I just believe in presents. That's what I believe in.
Right. Right.
No. Hello. Have we dropped one? Have we done something wrong?
Hello. Oh. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Right. Yeah. All right. You just keep one in stock then. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Was that the wife?
Yeah, he'll keep one in stock.
Oh, good. So we know he's watching then.
Right. Right. I think we're going to wrap it up now because some of these are burning.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, everybody, for tonight. It's been a great night. Lots of questions. We do like it when there's lots of questions.
Yes, it makes our life so much easier.
I'm going to have a big gin now and a mince pie.
Yeah. See, a question-free night makes our lack of planning completely exposed. But when we have lots of questions, we're totally professional. You'd never know we don't plan this.
Yes. Planning? No. Yeah.
I don't even know what that word means.
Yeah. Right. Portia, is he telling you to give the big door, give away the big door instead?
I'll have to ask him. We'll have to ask him because I thought they only had the one. Maybe they've got more than one. I mean, there was certainly that one enormous shelf taken up by it. So unless they've got another shelf I didn't know about in the background.
No, has somebody gone around? Has little John gone around the store in the back of the store? Hey, Pete, look what I found.
We're like, oh no, that's where we all eat our lunch. That's the table. No, it's a drawer. Oh, okay.
Oh no, not another one.
Yeah, John's like, I don't want to pack that again. No.
Yeah. Imagine the man from the courier. Oh no, not one of them.
Imagine the DPD van driving off with the back axle down and gets pulled over by the police because they think he's stolen a digger or something.
Yeah.
Because I was watching the thing saying they always know when people have stolen like building plant because the vans are like on their axles. So they always pull them over. You see a van dragging, so it's like with that in the door in the back.
Yeah, well, in the days of the Sherpa van, you always used to pull a Sherpa van over in the dark depth of night because you could fit a quad bike in the back of a Sherpa van, but you couldn't put one in a transit. Did you know? Yeah. So.
Well, apparently that's the thing now. Is stealing plant like little mini diggers and quad bikes and stuff fit in transits nowadays. So I was watching this like on the road cops thing, and they were saying if we see a van and it's riding on the axles, we always pull it over.
Yeah.
And it's always somebody with like a quad bike or a little digger in the back, and we always arrest them.
And we
always win. We are the police. It is the law.
Anyway, time to call it a night, viewers. Thank you very much for your participation and coming along and keeping us busy, making our brains hurt. I need to go lie down.
Just before you go, Ted, James Glenn says, hello, Ted and Fox from Indiana, USA. Hello. Hello, James. We're just finishing now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but you can watch it back. Give it 10 minutes.
Give it 10 minutes.
Yeah, give it 10 minutes and you can watch it back on YouTube. And you can also watch it from the live link on eModels because it stays up there now till next week. And then this one.
It does. We leave it up on the eModels website for a whole week.
Yep. so you can catch it up again and enjoy the chat. Right, okay, thanks everybody, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all next week. And we never know, the phone might ring again, and this time he might not be telling me off. All right, bye everybody, bye now.
Here's some Bye.
Bye, I'm going to press the button. Bye.
We now.